we're going to be inspecting the valve cover and the rocker arms and rocker shaft. Step one in the process would be to remove the valve cover bolts and then the valve cover and the valve cover gasket. After we get all the bolts off the valve cover, we're going to take the valve cover and set it aside along with the bolts. You're going to take off the valve cover gasket. Now the next step in this process would be to remove the rocker arm shaft bolts. And for that we're going to use a 24mm socket. We're going to remove all the rocker arm shaft bolts. There is 3 bolts on this rocker arm shaft. Once we get those out, we're going to remove the rocker arm shaft. So we're going to set the bolts aside and make sure that the rocker arm shaft comes off. Oh, look, I forgot a bolt. Now we need to remove the rocker arm shaft. Make sure that the rocker arm shaft and rocker arm stay intact. At this point, we would start deassembling the fuel injectors and the fuel injector lines. Once you have all of your fuel injectors loose, you want to loosen your fuel injector lines that are connecting each injector to themselves, so that you know exactly which injector comes out of what spot, so that not everything will get tangled up with each other. So here I am loosening the fuel injector lines, which hold each injector to one another. Each injector has a separate copper line that will connect one another to each other. Now before we take off the injectors, we have to take off the intake manifold. You're past 3 minutes. We're gonna continue by taking off the the intake manifold, excuse me. One more bolt. And now the intake manifold can come off. And now we can remove our injectors. You want to remember and place your injectors in the order that you take them out, so you can ensure that they go back in the same exact order. We'll set them on the table. Once you remove your fuel injectors, you can go ahead, I'll go ahead and go over to the other side. And I will remove the exhaust manifold. Once I remove the exhaust manifold bolts, I will be able to remove the exhaust manifold from the head. Once I remove the exhaust manifold, I will be able to loosen and take off the head bolts so that I can start the process of loosening. Now that the exhaust manifold is off, I can come over and loosen the head bolts that will allow me to remove the head. Some of the head bolts are different sizes than the other ones. But once we have all of the head bolts off, we will be able to remove the head. But before we do that, we have to take out the push rods. Take out the push rod before we start loosening the other head bolts. You want to take them out in order so that you know the wear pattern of each side of the push rod. Once you've removed all of the push rods, you can head to the other side and remove the other head bolts. So that then you will be able to remove the head itself. Once you have these head bolts off, you will be able to remove the head from the drum. We're going to go ahead and take off all the remaining head bolts that are holding the head to the block. The head bolts are usually torqued down to 100 foot-pounds. You do not want to exceed 100 foot-pounds of torque, or you could damage something. When removing the head and all other components, you want to make sure that you lay your bolts out to where you'll know exactly which ones go where, so that you won't confuse yourself and nothing gets mixed up. We're going to go ahead and lay all the head bolts back here. Now we're ready to remove the head, but the head is a two-person job, so I need Petey. Petey! Petey! I need you to help me remove the head. Now we're going to go ahead and lift the head off. I forgot to take off the water pump hose, so I'm going to do that real quick before finishing the head removal. Now we can take the head off and come over to our table.